Good morning. So I'd like to welcome everyone here this morning, and we'd like to welcome our online audience as well. We're still celebrating the World Holy Name Week. So today's Bhagavatam class will be again centered on the Holy Name, but beforehand we're just going to do a little kirtan.
Caitanya
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So, tomorrow is the last day of the World Holy Name Week, which started last Saturday. And therefore all, for the last week, all of our classes have been centred upon the Holy Name. So, one thing we were hearing last Saturday, when we had our community Sangha, was that there are three things, which is information, transformation, and distribution. So, we were talking about by receiving information about the Holy Name, about the benefits or about the potency of the Holy Name. By getting this information, we get transformation. We become inspired to practice the chanting of Hare Krishna in our own life. And then when we start practicing chanting Hare Krishna, then we get a transformation. We become purified. We should be developing some good qualities. Are we developing some good qualities in the audience, hopefully? And actually, it's funny, there's one good friend, Ramananda. Before he joined the temple, he was going along to a Namahat program. And he was, he'd been going to the program for some time, a year or so, and he was having some problems following the regulative principles, So, and he'd been struggling with it. So he said that, you know what, I'm not even going to try and follow the regulative principles now. He said, but what I am going to do is I'm going to chant 16 rounds every day of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And after he'd been doing that for a couple of weeks, he moved into the ashram, or moved into the temple full-time, and was following all of the regulative principles and performing full-time devotional service. So this is the potency of the Holy Name. So from information comes transformation. But after transformation comes distribution. In other words, we become so inspired by living this lifestyle, because chanting Hare Krishna isn't an activity. Chanting Hare Krishna is a lifestyle. And when we're practicing this lifestyle of chanting Hare Krishna, then what happens is we become so inspired that we naturally want to share it with others. We gave the example last week that if you've seen a good film, or you've seen a good TV program, or you've heard a good song, naturally you want to tell your friends about it, you want to share it. Yeah? Nowadays we share it on Facebook, or we share it on WhatsApp, whatever it is, like that. So information, transformation, and distribution. So today we're going to be focusing on distribution of the Holy Name. So we've entitled this talk, By Sharing the Holy Name, One Receives the Mercy of the Holy Name. Or a simple way of putting that is, the more you give, the more you get. Which seems like a contradiction, because materially speaking, the more you give away to someone, like let's say if you had £1 million, the more you give that £1 million away, the less you get. You'll be left with nothing eventually. But in spiritual life, it works the opposite way around, that the more you give, the more you get. So by sharing the Holy Name, one receives the mercy of the Holy Name. So, we're just going to recite a few invocation mantras beforehand, so if you know them, you can join in. Actually, we'll recite Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya first. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Om Namo Bhagavate
Jnana Timidandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Mena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavascha Shri Rupam Sagujatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakambhatanscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhalu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhye Gacha Patitanam Bhavaneyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Namarinadi Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Can I just ask someone who has a phone, can you just look up the dictionary definition of mercy? Please, Pratik, if you can do that. So by sharing the holy name, one receives the mercy of the holy name. So, my first question to all of you is, well, firstly, we're going to give the definition of mercy. Do you have it?
So the definition of mercy is compassion or forgiveness shown towards someone who is it within one's power to punish or harm.
Wow.
Nice. So let's say that again. Please repeat it again.
The compassion or forgiveness shown towards someone whom is it within one's power to punish or harm.
Very nice. Now, so let's say it again. The compassion or forgiveness shown to someone
whom it's within one's power to punish or harm.
Whom it's within one's power to punish or harm. So you have, you have someone, you can punish or harm them, but you don't. You show them compassion and kindness. Now, if you look at the Cambridge definition, this morning we were looking at the Cambridge definition, but there was one that was really interesting. Just go back and check the Cambridge one. I heard, we were listening to this on the way, I was asking Jagannath Ashri for the definitions, and she gave me this one, which was the Cambridge one. And if I can remember rightly, it was something along the lines of, it was in terms of an event, and it said that by showing kindness, it makes a situation better, something like that. A situation that's really bad, it makes it better. Anyway, you can have a look at that and see if you can find it. So, in other words, we're all in a bad situation in this material world. We're all suffering the threefold miseries. Miseries from the body and mind, miseries from other living entities, miseries from natural phenomena, such as the weather. Like right now it's starting to get a bit colder. We're all starting to feel the cold. Pratik's just come back from Dubai and he's definitely feeling the cold. Javit's come down from Scotland, so it's feeling much warmer to him here. So we're all suffering the threefold miseries, and then there's birth, disease, old age and death. And actually the material world is described as kuntha. The spiritual world is vaikuntha, which means without anxiety. But the material world is designated as a place of kuntha. Krishna says, Abrahma bhuvanaloka puna avatanarjana mamupecha kuntiya puna janmana vijate. He says, from the topmost planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery, wherein repeated birth and death take place. Just painting a nice, happy picture for you all. But the point is that, so we're in a suffering condition, so therefore we need mercy, because mercy is something shown to us when we could be punished, if you like, but instead we get mercy. It makes the situation better, it makes the situation auspicious. So therefore we're talking about getting the mercy of the holy name. So firstly I'd like to ask all of you, how do we get someone's mercy? If I want to get Vrajendra's mercy, he could punish me or harm me, but if I want to get his mercy, what would I do? There's many different answers. Julian?
Give him a gift.
Give him a gift. Very nice. Okay, so we could give someone a gift if we want to get their mercy. Very good. Any more ideas? How can we get someone's mercy? Behave. Okay, So that's good. So like for instance, a child, if he wants to get his parents' mercy, he should behave. Right? Do as you're told. Yeah, good.
Should please him.
Please him. Okay, that's interesting. So give a gift, make sure you behave, try and please the person. Vrajendra?
Glorify him.
Glorify him. Very good. Yeah, any others?
And he should know you, should know him.
You should also, there should be some relationship. It's hard to get the mercy of someone if you don't know them. That's interesting. Good. Yeah, I mean, these are all correct, actually. I put down, we get someone's mercy by pleasing them. If we want to give a gift, like Julian suggested, ultimately we're trying to please them. If we behave, again, we're trying to please the person. If we glorify them, we're trying to please them. So ultimately, it's by trying to please someone that we get someone's mercy. Now, it's said in the Shastras that Krishna and his name are one and the same. There's no difference between Krishna and his name. So in other words, if we please Krishna, it's the same as pleasing his name. Or if we please Krishna's holy name, then we please Krishna. Both ways it works. So now I have another question for you. So everything okay with mine? Yeah. Another question is that how do we please Krishna?
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, so that's one way to please Krishna is by chanting his name. Actually, Vrajendra, could you just get me a Bhagavad Gita, please? Okay, how else can we please Krishna apart from by chanting his name? Javat.
by serving his devotees.
By serving his devotees. Very nice.
Actually, that's the better one.
Prabhupada gives the example, love me, love my dog. So, if you meet someone for the first time and they've got a dog, you may not have any relationship with that person. Like we just said a moment ago, to get someone's mercy, we should have some relationship. So you may meet someone for the first time, you don't know anything about them, but they've got a dog, and if you just start stroking that dog, oh, who's a nice boy, who's a whatever it is, you start stroking the dog, you show some affection, some, love towards that dog, then you can guarantee that that person will be very pleased with you, because dog is a man's best friend, that's what they say. So we're like Krishna's dogs, and we have these collars, these kunti mala. Prabhupada said these are like a dog collar. One time Prabhupada was in India, walking down the beach, and he saw one scruffy dog. Well, in India, everywhere you see scruffy dogs, but one day he saw a really, beautiful-looking dog with a shiny, healthy coat, looking really happy and bouncing around, which is an unusual sight in India, because people don't usually keep dogs as pets. They're just running around, stray in the streets. So they saw this unusually happy and healthy-looking dog, and Prabhupada said, why is this dog so happy? Does anyone know?
Because he has a master.
Yeah, he said because he has a master, he has an owner. So in the same way, we're all servants of Krishna in this material world, but we've forgotten that we're servants of Krishna. And therefore we're morose. We may not even realise we're morose, but actually we're not as happy as we should be. But when we have a loving master, then actually we become very happy. So Krishna, he's a loving master. So yeah, very good. So we're talking about how to please Krishna. So we've had so far by chanting his holy name and by pleasing his devotees. How else can we please Krishna? Maybe Java Prabhu.
By studying his instructions.
By studying his instructions in the Bhagavad Gita. Yes.
Following his instructions.
By studying and following his instructions. Yeah. Can anyone think of an instruction where Krishna says how to please him?
Surrender unto me.
Surrender unto me. Very good. Savadam parichaja. Surrender unto me. Yeah. Vrajendra, you had something there?
Chant his name.
By chanting his name. Okay, so give me a verse. We're talking about a verse. Give me a verse where Krishna says, chant my name. Okay, that's a good one. Kale dosha ade raja nastyako nahangana kirtana dev krishnasya mukta sangha paramrajet. It said that this age of Kali is an ocean of inauspicious qualities. But there is one good quality in this age. Simply by chanting the holy names, one can overcome this ocean of nescience and go back to Godhead. Yeah? Any other instructions where Krishna tells us how we can please him? Janavasi?
The thoughts of my purity group is dwell in me, and their lives are dedicated to my service, and they always derive great pleasure and bliss by always enlightening one another and conversing about me.
Very good. Yeah, this is chapter 10, text 9. The devotees, they derive great pleasure and satisfaction from always conversing about Krishna. So, there's many different verses actually where Krishna says how to please him, but there's one very important one here in chapter 18 of the Bhagavad Gita, text 69. Krishna says, Nachar tasman manusheshu kaschin me priyakritana pavita na chame tasmad anya priyataro bhuvi. Now Krishna says, there is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear. So what type of servant are we talking about? So if we look at the previous verse, chapter 18, text 68, I'll just read the translation. Krishna says, for one who explains this supreme secret to the devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed, and at the end he will come back to me. So one who explains this supreme secret, one who explains Krishna consciousness and explains to someone that we're not the body, we're the soul, we're eternal servant of Krishna, and that by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra we can please Krishna and ultimately go back home, back to Godhead and perfect our human form of life. For one who explains this secret to the devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed. At the end he will come back to me. And then Krishna says, there is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear. So, in other words, the most pleasing thing to Krishna is when one explains or when one shares Krishna consciousness with his devotees. Now, you may say, okay, well the devotees, that's not so many people. But actually, ultimately, every single person is a devotee. Even an ant, that's walking around on the pavement, or even a wasp or an elephant, they're all servants of Krishna, they're all devotees, and they've just forgotten. Jeev Jago, Gora Chanda Bole. So therefore one has to wake up the sleeping souls. So therefore the most pleasing thing to Krishna is to preach, or to share Krishna consciousness. And what is the best way to share Krishna consciousness? Well, there's three main ways actually that Prabhupada gave us. And it's described that Maya, she has a trident. If you see a picture of Maya, she has a trident. And with that trident, she inflicts the threefold suffering, which is miseries coming from the body and mind, miseries coming from other living entities, and miseries coming from natural phenomena. So we counteract it. We also have a trident, and that is distributing the holy name, Harinam Sankirtan, distributing transcendental books, and distributing transcendental prasadam. All of you now are just bagging up these sweets. We're going to distribute them today. So this is our threefold attack on material energy. Book distribution, prasadam distribution, and the holy name distribution. So by sharing these three things, then one counteracts the miseries of the material nature and one reawakens one's dormant spiritual nature. So by sharing the holy name, one receives the holy name. So why is this the most pleasing thing to Krishna? Preaching or sharing Krishna consciousness. Why is it the most pleasing thing to Krishna? Can anyone think or give a suggestion? Why is it pleasing to Krishna?
It's like if you have a servant who is very, very faithful, so he's the one who is doing this activity. He is the most, for the master, he is the most favored, or he will like him the most because he's doing.
So one who's doing this service of sharing Krishna consciousness, he's the most dear of the master. But what we're asking is, why is the activity of sharing Krishna consciousness the most pleasing thing to Krishna? We've established that the person who does it is the most dear to Krishna, but why is the activity of distributing Krishna consciousness the most pleasing thing to Krishna? Javapu.
Because that's why Krishna has descended into the material world.
Okay.
To reclaim the living entities who've become kind of entangled in the material energy. And also initially the whole creation of the material universe is for the purpose of giving the living entities an opportunity to exercise a little independence, but to gradually understand that they're not independent. So therefore, any devotees who remind the living entities of their relationship with Krishna, then they're actually serving Krishna's original purpose.
Very good. So what Javat's saying is that the actual material world is designed to bring the living entities back to Godhead. They're allowed to come here to exercise some independence, to try and enjoy separately from Krishna, but ultimately the material world is designed in such a way, like we said, that ultimately one becomes frustrated in this material world, and one realises that I can't be fully satisfied here, just like a fish out of water. Take the fish out of water, you can give it, a big cigar, Lamborghini, Countach, Miss World on his, go live in Dubai. But unless the fish is in the water, he's not going to be happy. So we're like a fish out of water in this material world. We're not actually satisfied. I would say not only are we satisfied, we're suffering. So Krishna, he's the father of all living entities. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. So does a father like to see his children happy?
Yes.
Yeah.
He does. Oh yeah, he does. Sorry, yeah. He does like to see them happy. What I meant to say was, does a father like to see his children unhappy? Does it? No. Ramai, do you like to see your children unhappy? No. So naturally, if the children are unhappy, that makes it hellish for the parents. They want the children to be happy. So therefore, Krishna knows that we're suffering in this material world. So therefore he's anxious, Prabhupada said, to see his wayward children cured and reinstated in their happy home. Just like if you've got some children, they become, sometimes people who are homeless, actually, they've still got family and things who would gladly accept them back, but they've chosen to go and live on the streets, for some reason or another. Or perhaps they haven't chosen that, but somehow or other they've ended up on the streets. But the parents would much rather they come home and live in their happy, comfortable home. So therefore, Krishna, he devises many elaborate arrangements to rescue the living entities from this material world. Javat said one, that he's descended as Lord Caitanya. Well, he comes in many different avatars. It said that there was as many incarnations of Krishna as there are waves on the sea. Don't know if anyone's ever been down to the beach and tried to jump the waves. When we were younger, we used to like to jump on the waves, and the waves just keep coming all day, all night. So there are as many incarnations as there are waves on the sea. And why do these living entities come? Well, they come for three purposes. They come to protect or deliver the devotees, to annihilate the miscreants, and to re-establish the principles. But the main reason he comes is to deliver the devotees. So therefore Krishna keeps coming, and he's been coming since time immemorial to see his wayward children cured and reinstated in their happy home. And not only that, he sends his best Nitya Siddha devotees, such as Srila Prabhupada. He sends his pure devotees, who are so dear to him, and he can't bear to be separated from, and yet he sends them away. Sometimes like parents, I read the other day that David Beckham and Victoria Beckham, their oldest son, I think he's called Brooklyn, I'm not sure, but he's just gone to university now. So they were saying that Victoria Beckham, she's really upset because her oldest son has now gone to university. So when you've been growing up, you've given birth to someone, you've nurtured them, you've brought them up, you spent all your time and all your energy, all your money bringing them up, and then they leave. It's painful for the parents. Generally, sometimes I might be thinking, God, I thought they'd never go. But But so Krishna's devotees are so dear to him, he can't bear to be separated, and yet he sends them to the material world. So he's separated from them in that sense, but he sends them to reclaim the fallen souls. And Srila Prabhupada said in one of his purports that Krishna, he is never inattentive in his duty of delivering the fallen souls. Like, we're inattentive in so many things. Right now I'm giving the class, some of you may be inattentive, you may be thinking, when's this class going to end? I'm hungry, or whatever it is, you're thinking about, I didn't get enough sleep last night, or whatever it is. When we're chanting Hare Krishna, personally speaking, I'm very inattentive, I'm thinking of everything but the holy name. So I'm inattentive in practically everything I do. Even when I'm eating, I'm eating, the pakora, but I'm thinking of the samosa. And then I'm eating the samosa, and I'm thinking of the curd sabji. And then when I'm eating the curd sabji, I'm thinking of the sweet rice. And when I'm eating the sweet rice, I'm thinking of the laddu. So we're never really conscious, but Prabhupada said Krishna is never inattentive in his duty of delivering the fallen souls. In other words, he's always thinking how to deliver the fallen souls, how to bring them back home, back to Godhead, so they can be truly happy. So therefore, if one takes on this mission of trying to reclaim the fallen souls, naturally, this is the most pleasing thing to Krishna. And as we said, he descends as Lord Caitanya, who we have on the altar here. He came to freely give love of Godhead to everyone without considering who was fit. He came to propagate the Yuga Dharma of Harinam Sankirtan, congregational chanting of the holy names of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And by engaging in this Harinam Sankirtan, then we become reinstated, we become cured, and we become happy. Just look at the smiling faces here in the audience. So therefore the mission, Lord Chaitanya said, is to spread the holy name to every town and village. Priti Viti Ache Yata Nagarali Gram Savatra Prachara Hoibe Boranam. He wants the holy name, or the Hare Krishna mantra, to be heard in every town and village. We're going out and we're spreading it in Newcastle today, and that's nice, but we have to go to Sunderland, we have to go to Middlesbrough, we have to go to Darlington, we have to go to Chester Street, where? Leeds. Everywhere, we have to go everywhere, every town and village. And Javak Prabhu was making an interesting observation yesterday that nowadays, actually YouTube and the internet is in everyone's home. It's in your pocket. So therefore, a really good way is to put this out online, which is why we're now on live Facebook. And it'll be uploaded onto YouTube. And this way, this is a way to spread the holy name to every town and village. But apart from that, it's good to go out on the front line. We have all our modern technology, and that's wonderful. We utilize that. That's called Yukta Vairagya. But there's nothing like going out on the front line. Going into the city centre and blissfully chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Because Lord Chaitanya, he's in anxiety to see the suffering of the fallen souls. Therefore, he's described as paradukkha dukhi. He's unhappy to see the suffering of others. This is the nature of a saintly person. A materialistic person, they're happy when they see others suffering. If you're doing better than someone else, you're more rich than someone else, you've got, a better house, you've got, materialistic people, they feel like some pride that I'm the best. But a saintly person, they feel like everyone is suffering. Everyone's suffering. And actually you can see that when you go out and you try and share Krishna consciousness with people. Two things simultaneously happen. One is that you see the transformative effect of Krishna consciousness on people. You see how people become transformed. People will be walking down the street today and they'll see and they'll hear the Harinam and they'll see the devotees and they'll just start smiling. And they don't know why. And maybe they'll start singing and dancing with us, they'll take a sweet and they'll just feel happy. They won't know why. Last week we were at the Great North Run 57,000 people we were sharing the holy name with. It was a wonderful event. And everyone as they were coming past, you can see the video, they were smiling, they were waving, you know. They still had 9 miles to go of the run. So it was giving them like some enthusiasm, for at least for those few minutes. They were happy, you could see. So you see two things: the transformative effect of the holy name or Krishna consciousness upon people, and you see the suffering also. You see that people actually around there who are suffering. I remember one time I was on book distribution in Leeds. You were just talking about Leeds. We need to share the holy name in Leeds. One time it was the Christmas book marathon. And I went up to someone, you know, generally it's the first, on book distribution, it's hard to stop people. So usually I approach people that are already stopped, and usually I go over and I say, good morning. I said, it's easier to stop people who've already stopped. And then they usually kind of laugh, you know, and I say, it's a captive audience. So I went up to one guy outside HMV, and as soon as I started to approach him, he got so angry, he said, just get out of here, I'm not interested. And he swore, actually, he used some expletives. I'm not going to say that in Srimad Bhagavatam class, but he was like, I'm not interested, I don't want to know, you know. And I said, don't worry, it's not what you're thinking. He said, I just don't care, I'm just so peed off, something to that effect, you know. And I was kind of perceptive to understand that it was Christmas shopping time. And I said, don't tell me your wife's in there spending all the money, dragging you around all these shops, and you don't want to be here. And he said, yes, and I'm just so annoyed with it. I'm just so angry. It's Christmas shopping, you know, I've got better things. He was so upset, so angry. And I somehow managed to pacify him and said, no, you know, it's okay anyway, I'm one of the monks, and we're just, and you know, and he ended up, he took a book, and he gave a donation for the book, and he chanted Gauranga. And actually that transformative effect on his face was amazing. Within the space of a few minutes, he went from being the most angry man in Leeds to being the most blissful man in Leeds. So when we share Krishna consciousness, we see these two things. We see how unhappy people actually are, even though they're putting a brave face on it. You know, people are very good at putting a brave face on it, but actually deep down they're suffering, and therefore you see the transformative effect it has. So therefore it's described that the Panchatattva, they broke open the storehouse of love of God, and they distributed it without considering who was fit and who was unfit. There used to bring out a single, like they have the Christmas #1 in the top 40, you know. So the devotees used to bring out a song every year to inspire the devotees in the Christmas book marathon. So it used to go, it was Lord Caitanya, 500 years ago, he gave pure love of Krishna to both the high and low. He made no distinction between the saints and the crooks, so follow in his footsteps when passing out those books, Srila Prabhupada's books. So they made no distinction between the saints and the crooks. They gave it freely to everyone. So when we're out there today, we shouldn't be thinking, oh, this person will take a sweet, this person will take a book. No distinction. You know, in fact, when I see people who look a bit rough, I like to give them a book, or give them the holy name or a sweet, because I think these guys need it more. Lord Chaitanya's come to save the most fallen. He's Patita Pavan. So don't make any distinction. And Lord Chaitanya personally, he toured all around South India, walking and chanting and just spreading the holy name. So therefore, because Lord Chaitanya is an anxiety, it is our duty to relieve Lord Chaitanya's anxiety. And the best way to relieve his anxiety is by sharing Krishna consciousness, by sharing the holy name to every town and village. And this was also Srila Prabhupada's mission. In ISKCON, we are all followers of Srila Prabhupada. We are Prabhupada Anugas. His mission was that he wanted everyone to chant Hare Krishna. He wanted Hare Krishna to be a household word. And one time, Srila Prabhupada was walking on the beach with his disciples. They were having a morning walk. And then one young girl came up and said, Hare Krishna. And Prabhupada said, just see. Just see. This Hare Krishna is now a household word all around the world. And then the devotees were saying, but Prabhupada, that's just one little girl on a beach in India, in Mumbai, chanting Hare Krishna. How can you say it's now a household word? And he said, no. He said, when you're cooking rice, you can just take 1 grain of rice and you can see if that grain of rice is ready. And just by that 1 grain of rice, you can understand that the whole pot is cooked. So Prabhupada said, just see, this one little girl chanting Hare Krishna is an indication that this Hare Krishna is spreading all around the world and it is becoming a household word. And in fact, Srila Prabhupada, he was very happy with George Harrison. We were speaking about George Harrison last night because he helped to make Hare Krishna a household word. In George Harrison's last ever interview with the BBC, he was asked, what is the most important thing you've done in your career? And you can imagine George Harrison, he'd achieved everything, with the Beatles, with his own solo career. He'd done so much charity work, raising money for Bangladesh, and he had everything. But what is the most important thing you did in your career? He said, the most important thing I did was to produce the Hare Krishna records, or the Hare Krishna single, for the Radha Krishna temple. He said this was the most important thing, because he'd understood that, to spread the holy name to every town and village, this was the most pleasing thing to Krishna, and therefore this is the most important thing in life. And it did. The Hare Krishna single got to #1 in many countries. In England it was, I think, got to number 10 in the top 40. And the devotees, they were on top of the pops. So like this is the goal, to chant. There's 2 things. The mission is to chant Hare Krishna and to teach others. Vaisheshika Guru says this. So #1 is to chant Hare Krishna. #2, teach others. #1,
chant Hare Krishna.
#2,
teach others.
#1,
chant Hare Krishna.
#2,
teach others.
#2,
teach others.
#2,
teach others.
#2,
teach others.
#1,
chant Hare Krishna.
#1,
chant Hare Krishna.
#2.
teach others.
Like this. So this is what Vaisheshika was saying. This is actually the mission summed up in 2 things. 1, chant Hare Krishna. 2, teach others. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada, he went to Tompkins Square Park on his own. He sat down with a bongo. In fact, just recently, I've started listening to Prabhupada's bhajans all night long, on repeat. When I first joined the temple, we used to have that every night. The kirtan, Prabhupada's kirtan, was going on all night. And after some time, I kind of stopped doing that. And I said to my wife, it'd be nice if we start listening to Prabhupada all night long, So we started doing that for the last 3 nights, and it's so nice. It's so nice. So last night, as we were going to bed, we heard this kirtan, and it's Prabhupada. And then it's Prabhupada on the bongo, and he goes... He kind of does this thing. At that point, he didn't have a madanga, he just had this bongo drum. So Prabhupada went and sat down in Tompkins Square Park with his bongo drum, and he chanted, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Like this, and then people, the hippies, they all started gathering around, and you see these videos, and you hear these kirtans, Prabhupada just sitting down, and everyone started to gather around and join in. So, chant Hare Krishna and teach others. Now, therefore we get Srila Prabhupada's mercy by pleasing him. And Srila Prabhupada is the representative of Krishna, so Janet said that by pleasing the devotees we please Krishna. So by pleasing Krishna's pure representative, Srila Prabhupada, then actually this is the way we make spiritual advancement. We sing every morning, Yasya Prasada, Bhagavat Prasada, Yasya Prasada, Nagati Katopi. By the mercy of the spiritual master, one receives the benediction of Krishna. And without the mercy of the spiritual master, one cannot make any advancement. So we make our advancement by pleasing the representative of Krishna, the spiritual master, by pleasing Srila Prabhupada. So this is the best way to make advancement. Now there's 3 types of advancement we can make in spiritual life. Does anyone know what they are? The 3 types of advancement. Well, I'll give you the first one. The first one is called Nitya Siddha. And Nitya Siddha means eternally liberated. In other words, like Srila Prabhupada, they come to the material world only for the purpose of reclaiming the fallen souls. Like Srila Prabhupada said, there is never a time when I forgot the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna. So he's a Nitya Siddha. And then there's Sadhana Siddha. What does that mean, Sadhana Siddha? Sorry? Practicing devotional service. Yeah, we become perfect by engaging in sadhana, sadhana bhakti. So we see devotees like Haridas Thakur chanting 192 rounds a day, fully attentive. You know, I heard the other day Prabhupada said that it took Haridas Thakur 5 rounds to chant a round. So therefore, 192 rounds was 16 hours a day he was chanting. But throughout the other time, he was also preaching as well. And actually, preaching is an important part of sadhana. Vaisheshika Prabhu, he calls preaching or sharing Krishna consciousness high sadhana. We shouldn't think it's an extra thing to go out and share. Actually, it's an important part of our sadhana. It's high sadhana. It's like being in the fast lane. On the motorway, you can be in the slow lane, you know. But if you want to get in the fast lane and you want to get there quicker, then you move out to the outside lane. So by chanting 16 rounds, by following the 4 regulative principles, by reading, Bhagavad Gita every day, you're going to go back to Godhead, guaranteed. You're on the motorway, back home, back to Godhead. But if you want to get in the fast lane, then you share Krishna consciousness. You preach. You take the holy name to every town and village. This is the fast lane back to Godhead. So the sadhana siddhi, but the point is it's not so easy to practice our sadhana. Who here can chant 16 rounds fully attentive? Who can, read, Prabhupada's books fully attentive without ever falling asleep or getting tired? Who can even take prasadam fully attentive that it's prasadam rather than just, wow, this tastes nice, let me get it down. So, in other words, it's not so easy to practice sadhana. That doesn't mean we don't engage in it. We do engage in our sadhana siddhi. If it's a bit cold, someone can shut the window, otherwise it's okay. Yeah, just shut the window if it's a little bit chilly. But then there's Kripa Siddha. This means mercy. That we make advancement by getting mercy. And we need mercy. When Srila Prabhupada came to the West, he introduced Gaura Nitai deities. Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. Before Srila Prabhupada introduced Gaura Nitai, there were no Gaura Nitai deities. In India, the deities were Gaura Gadadhar. Lord Chaitanya and Gadadhar Pandit. Gadadhar Pandit is Radharani. So that was Krishna, Lord Chaitanya, and Gadadhar, Radharani, so Radha and Krishna. But when Prabhupada came to the West, he thought, these people, they need mercy. They need Lord Nityananda, because he is the most merciful. We know the story of how he delivered Jagai and Madha. But in this age, everyone is Jagai and Madha. We're all Jagai and Madha. So therefore we need Lord Nityananda's mercy. So Kripa Siddha means we make advancement by getting mercy. And what's the best way to get mercy? By pleasing Krishna. What's the best way to please Krishna? By sharing Krishna consciousness, by trying to reclaim the lost souls. So this is the best way, the most powerful way to make advancement. Kripa Siddha. Srila Prabhupada was asked one time by a disciple, how do we repay the debt to the spiritual master? And what did Srila Prabhupada say?
Impossible.
It's impossible. Yeah. Actually, another time Prabhupada said impossible is a word in a fool's dictionary. But actually, Srila Prabhupada said it is impossible to repay the debt to the spiritual master. Why? Because the spiritual master gives you Krishna, and there's nothing that you can give back to the spiritual master which equals Krishna. So how can you repay the debt? How can you give back, something which doesn't equal what you've been given? So the spiritual master gives you Krishna, so you cannot repay the debt. He says, however, although we're forever indebted to the spiritual master, he said, if we endeavour with enthusiasm and we vigorously preach, or we vigorously try to share Krishna consciousness, in this way we can attempt to repay the debt. So we're forever indebted, but the way to try and repay the debt is by sharing Krishna consciousness with others. And therefore there are 2 types of Vaishnavas. There's Bhajananandi and there's Gostianandi. Who can tell me what a Bhajananandi is? Rajendra.
Is someone who does his own bhajan just for himself.
Uh-huh.
Devotees who just do kirtan, just chant
Yes.
in an enclosed space.
Yes.
But they don't distribute it.
Yes. Bhajan Anandi means one who's just doing their own bhajan or their own sadhana, their own spiritual practices, but they're just doing it for themselves, they're not sharing it with others. In one sense, they're kind of like concerned with their own salvation. Then there's Ghosty Anandi. So what's a Ghosty Anandi? Vaishnava. Rajendra.
It's one who broke open the store of love of Godhead and is distributing these fruits to everybody and following the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda.
Very good. Yeah, actually Prabhupada said a Ghosty Anandi, he is interested in increasing the number of devotees. Because what does Sankirtan mean? What does Kirtan mean? Kind of means like loud chanting, doesn't it? Loud chanting. So what does San mean? Sankirtan.
Group. Yeah.
More than just group, what does it mean?
Everyone.
It means complete glorification. Kirtan is glorifying Krishna, but Sankirtan means complete glorification. So how can it be complete glorification? It can be complete glorification when everybody, every single living entity, and every single thing is being used to glorify Krishna. So how can it be complete? Right now there's only a few of us sat here in the room and a few more watching online. But it can only be complete when we try and increase the number of devotees. We want more and more people to join the kirtan. I mean, it's nice having a kirtan with just a few of us, but have you ever been in a kirtan when there's, hundreds or thousands, even just tens or 20s or 30s, the more the merrier. Anandam Buddhivadam, the more devotees that join the kirtan, the more ecstatic it becomes. So the Ghosty Anandis, they want to share Krishna consciousness. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he said that the Ghosty Anandis, they are better because they preach, they try and share. They're not content with just having something nice for themselves, they want to give it to others. Like we gave the example, if you've seen a good film or whatever, you want to tell other people about it. You've eaten in a nice restaurant or whatever, you tell other people. And we're going to try and finish now just with a little example, and then we're going to see if there's any reflections. So one example was in the 1950s, there was two scientists called Salk and Sabin, and they came up with a vaccine for polio. Prior to this vaccine being invented, polio was like a major killer. People were dying from polio all around the world. But since Salk and Sabin came up with this polio vaccine, there hasn't been one case of polio since, at least in the developed world. And not only did they come up with a cure for polio, but they made it so readily available and so easy to take. They thought, how can we package this in an easy form, So what they did was they put it in sugar cubes. So I'm not sure if you remember when I was at school, I had my polio vaccine, and it's just a little sugar. Because what child doesn't eat like eating sugar? But who likes to get an injection or take medicine as a child? No one. Ugh, it's horrible. But yeah, I can eat that sugar lump. That sounds easy enough. So you take the sugar lump, but you don't know that it's got the polio vaccine. So you take it, it tastes a bit bitter, but it's like, and then you taste the sugar. So they made it so easy. You see? So the Hare Krishna mantra is not only the cure for one disease, it's the cure for all disease. It's the cure for birth, disease, old age and death. It's the cure for all suffering once and for all. So therefore, if we don't try to go out and share it, that would make us really bad people, criminals. If someone had a cure for AIDS, which is one of the biggest killers, or cancer, right? Could you imagine? Like sometimes people say to us, some people say, well, you shouldn't go out and force it upon others. You should wait for people to come to you. If people are interested, they'll come to you. And you can say, yeah, okay. So then you give an example. If you had a cure for cancer, right? And then 30 years later or 50 years later, people found out you had a cure for cancer. And you said, they said, why didn't you tell anyone about it? You said, no, I'm just waiting for people to come to me. How would people view that person? They would be considered like one of the biggest criminals in the world, What a nasty person. Could have saved so many lives. So no, you tell people, you propagate, hey, I've got a cure for cancer, take it. Put it in a sugar lump, here you go. So we've got the cure for all suffering. in the form of the holy names of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we have to go out and share it with people. It is our duty. But we should also want to do that because we should understand, actually, it really is the cure for all suffering. Not sure what's going on with this. There we go. So by giving the holy name, we see the potency of the holy name, we see the transformation, and we should share our good fortune with others. This is a missionary movement, a Hare Krishna movement, this International Society for Krishna Consciousness. It's a movement. So firstly, we should be moving. We should be moving out of the door to give people this Krishna consciousness. We should be pushing ourselves. Srila Prabhupada said this is a pushing movement. He said, my spiritual master is pushing me, and like in turn, I am pushing you. And he said, and then you have to push others. So we have to push. It's a movement. We have to be moving. It's a missionary movement. And like we said, spiritual mathematics means 1 minus 1 equals 1,000,000. You know, material mathematics, 1 minus 1 equals 0. But in spiritual life, the more you give, the more you get. 1 minus 1, or Krishna, you give Krishna to someone else. You know, you take 1 step towards Krishna, he takes 1,000 steps towards you. So spiritual mathematics, 1 minus 1 equals 1,000,000. The more you give, the more you get. And we're going to finish on one nice quote by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada said, this is the price you pay for getting Krishna. Your intense eagerness to get Krishna. So if we really want to get Krishna, it's just based on desire, your eagerness, your lowliness, your greed. This is the price to get Krishna, your intense desire to have Krishna. Then Prabhupada says, how do you get Krishna? By giving Krishna to others. That's how you get Krishna. This is the shortcut. In Kali Yuga, everyone's looking for, like, you know, instant. You know, what's the shortcut back to Godhead? What's instant? You know, instant food, instant. You know, just add water and stir. You know. So if you want the shortcut to get Krishna, Prabhupada says, by giving Krishna to others, that's how you get Krishna. This is the shortcut. The more you give Krishna to others, the more you get Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki, Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Yagya ki, Jai. World Holy Name Week ki, Jai. Sacred Street Party ki, Jai. Distributing the holy name and reclaiming the fallen souls ki, Jai. Nitai Gaur Pramanande. So I'm just going to ask now if there are any reflections, anything you've heard that we've spoken about this morning that's stuck in your mind, that's inspired you. And if someone asks you when you get out of here, what was that class all about? You can say it was about this. So any reflections for Jendra?
Yeah, I'm thinking about the Goshti Ananda. And I listened to one lecture where it actually says when we are being like Goshti Anandis, Lord Nityananda is very pleased because we're actually helping him in his mission. Because he was the one going out to distribute the holy name. And he said, oh, look, that someone is trying to help me. And then he gives us that special mercy. And he calls us like Raghunath Das. He says, why are you standing over there like a thief? Come here. You know, and then he puts his lotus feet on our head. And Lord Nityananda always compensates for whatever we have lacking in our spiritual life.
Nice.
Just like he did with Caitanya Vallabha. He was the one who asked Lord Chaitanya. He asked him, Lord Chaitanya wanted to, he had like Krishna came to annihilate the demons. You know, he would kill them. You see, but Lord Chaitanya, it's Lord Nityananda who reminded him, look, you didn't come to kill them this time, you came to give them mercy. And in the same way, it's like being a Goshti Anandi, it helps us get that special mercy.
Nice. So by being a Goshti Anandi, by going out to share Krishna consciousness with others, we get the mercy of Lord Nityananda. And Lord Nityananda, he makes up for whatever we're lacking. So at the end of lifetime, you know, if we're only, 60% Krishna conscious, Lord Nityananda, he will give the other 40% if we please him. He makes up for what you're lacking. Nice. So sharing by becoming a Goshti Ananda, we get the mercy of Lord Nityananda. Any other reflections? Something we heard that stuck in our minds? Something that inspired us? Or just, okay, let's just say something you can remember. Can you remember anything from this? Okay, Javavasi.
Yeah, well, it was very nice to hear the dictionary definition of mercy. I think I'd never really considered that meaning before. You know, that mercy means compassion or forgiveness, given by one within whose power it is to punish or to harm. Yeah.
I'm just looking it up. I'm going to read it again.
So, because we have had so much mercy from, or so much like love and attention from Lord Caitanya and Lord Nityananda and the Guru Parampara, then perhaps we've forgotten that it's still within their power to punish us or harm us, and that not that they're inclined to do so, and actually it's painful for the Lord to punish his devotees. So we shouldn't want to put the Lord in that position again, that he feels obliged to punish us, because he will do out of his compassion. He will punish us so that we might become more urgent. Yeah,
there's that expression, to be cruel to be kind.
Yeah.
You have to be cruel to be kind sometimes.
But it's actually very painful for a gentle soul to be a kind of hard taskmaster. So therefore, not just for Lord Caitanya, but also for Srila Prabhupada and for our own spiritual master, we should always really be very eager to take the mercy that we've received from him and to, cultivate it in our own Krishna consciousness, so that we're not putting the burden on them that they have to chastise us, or that they have to, take on the heavy sort of side of the relationship.
Nice.
I know. One quality of someone who's in the mode of goodness is that it's very painful for them to see someone in the mode of ignorance, because they know how much that person in the mode of ignorance is going to suffer. And it's even more painful for them to see a devotee acting in the mode of ignorance. And so now that we've been elevated from the gross lower modes, then we should want to reciprocate with our gurus, our Shiksha gurus, our Diksha gurus, and with our God brothers and God sisters, by always acting in the best possible way, because that will give them a sense of satisfaction, and it will also relieve them of their anxiety about us. And then in that way, together we can worry about the people who really needs helping. So it's I think this is one. It's very nice, because I think this is one way in which communities can really make advancement. I mean, one way they can make advancement is by really trying to counsel each other and develop good community relations. But another way is to think, well, we've already been given so much mercy by Srila Prabhupada and Lord Caitanya, so let's just work together to give it to others.
Yeah.
And as some devotees say that the best management is kirtan, and that they don't have meetings, they just have kirtans.
Yeah. It's the fact when every time we go out on this sacred street party, at the end of it, I just think that was so amazing, and all the difficulties or anxieties that we're in just go away. As soon as you get out there and you just start trying to give Krishna. Because one thing is when you're thinking about others, it means you're not thinking about yourself. If we're just focused on ourselves, my problems, my anxieties, my difficulties, then we just focus on that. But if we think about other people's difficulties, it means you don't get a chance to think about yourself. And simultaneously, by trying to help other people's difficulties, then you automatically help yourself. So like we said, the more you give, the more you get. Thanks. I just found that dictionary definition, and I also found the one that was talking about which was the event. So I'll just read it again, because your point was that you like to hear that dictionary definition of what mercy actually is. So, Okay, these are just a couple of different ones actually. This is, okay, kindness that makes you forgive someone, usually someone that you have authority over. And then to be in a situation where someone or something has complete power over you. But then this one I thought was quite nice and quite appropriate. An event or situation that you are grateful for because it stops something unpleasant. So that we were thinking of in terms of, how it's an unpleasant situation in the material world, but an event or situation, such as a sacred street party, which you are grateful for because it stops something unpleasant. But your point was that the person actually has the power to punish us, but they show kindness. Like that. Thank you. Any other last reflections? Something you can remember? Okay, how's about number 1?
Chant Hare Krishna.
Number 2?
Teach each others.
Okay, very good. Okay, so we're going to stop there now. Actually, are there any reflections from anyone online?
Yes, Vinay, but he just says amazing.
He just said amazing. Okay.
Well said, Prabhu. I think when you were saying about the dog and the collar.
That's fine. Anyway, next time we're going to ask people at the start of the broadcast if anyone wants to give a reflection at the end, then they can do so.
Still coming.
It's coming now?
No, then let's go.
Oh, okay. Okay, we'll stop there. Srila Prabhupada ki, Sri Panchatattva ki, Sacred Street Party ki, World Holy Name Week ki, Breakfast ki, the Kalashi Vrat ki, Nitai Gaura Premanande.
Caitanya Vallabha ki.
All back to Vrinda ki.